Hello, Physics 102. This is online physics, and I just want to do a quick little walkthrough of my Blackboard course to kind of show you where things are and give you a walkthrough of my syllabus. So here we have the announcements tab, and I'm going to post this video here shortly. And if I have to post an announcement here, then I'll do so right here. I don't really anticipate this for an online class. There's not going to be any snow cancellations or anything like that. If you click on the syllabus, this guy's going to pop open right here. And what we can kind of do is you kind of see this is Physics 102, and this is going to be talking about waves, about electricity, about magnetism, and then electromagnetic waves, and then finishing off with a little bit of quantum physics. At the end of the day, I just want you to learn a little bit of physics and about the way the world works. There are some equations here and there, but I do try to focus more on the qualitative than the quantitative. Still, it is a physics class and you need just a little bit of algebra. My office is 216 Science and Health Professions Building. I do encourage you to swing by during my office hours, or otherwise if need be, especially if you take me face-to-face. Some of you have taken me in my online 101, some of you have taken me face-to-face 101. The ones that have taken me face-to-face, I highly recommend just swinging by. I'll gladly take an hour or so. We could talk through lectures, we could talk through any problems, or anything like that. You can also shoot me an email if you've taken me online or face-to-face, but if that's your preferred method of communication, then that's a good way to get in touch with me. This is going to have online lectures as well as labs, so everything is completely computer-based. It is up to you to make sure that your computer actually works with this. This is the textbook, and money-saving note is you can get by with the 11th edition and save yourself. You can get it for pennies on the dollar. Everything is online, the lectures, the labs, the homework, the tests, all that good stuff. And if you're an online student, then it's kind of up to you to make sure the labs work. I'm trying to avoid Java labs as much as I can because I know that you can have some problems with those, especially using a Mac. But it is still up to you to make sure that you have a computer that can run the labs. I can't promise I won't have any Java labs. I do have voice over PowerPoint lectures, and I try to keep them as minimal as possible. Please take notes just like you would in a face-to-face class. I really do think you learn something by taking notes. The labs are due at 11:59, and I do give you 2 attempts to kind of make up for the fact that I'm not wandering around like I do in my face-to-face lab saying, hey, did you think about this, did you think about this? So as long as you get it to me by Tuesday at 11:59, then I'll let you submit a second attempt, and it'll take the average of the 2 attempts. The labs are going to be due on Thursdays at 11:59, and that just gives me some time. So it does average your 2 attempts. Homeworks, you have 2 attempts at the homeworks, and it'll take the higher of the 2. It'll tell you which ones you got wrong, but it won't tell you the right answers until after the due dates. That way you don't just copy them after the first attempt or anything like that. Please feel free to ask me any questions on the homework. There's no reason why you can't get 100 on every single one of the homework problems. There's 5 quizzes throughout the semester. They're really about the week before any test, and they're not designed to beat you up point-wise. They're designed to say, hey, you really need to be thinking about this equation, speed is equal to wavelength times frequency, or something like that. I do have a time limit on the quizzes, and that's just to simulate the test environment. I don't accept late quizzes because it tells you the answers after the due date. The same is true for the homeworks. It just gives you the answers after the due date, and so I don't really accept late homeworks for that reason. There's 4 tests throughout the semester, and they're about 35-ish multiple choice questions. Some are more, some are a little bit less. Tests are to be done by you alone and pledged as such. It is on Blackboard, and you have 15 minutes to complete it. The reason for the time limit is because you can do it at your leisure, but if you were to have unlimited time, then you could probably go your way through half of it. So it does make sure you actually kind of know your material going into it. Please study for it just like you do a real test or you would in a face-to-face class. There's 931 points up for grabs from tests, and you can kind of see each test is going to be, this one's 33 questions at 3 points each. These are kind of the length of the tests. 27 lab activities in a face-to-face class. I do a little bit of lecture, a little bit of lab every single day, and so it adds up to 27 labs. And these are kind of like mini labs. They're not like a full-blown 3-hour lab. Some are longer, some are shorter. We have homeworks at 10 points each, and we have quizzes at 5 at 20 points each, and there I think 5 questions that are worth 4 points each, all multiple choice as well. Standard A, B, C, D, and all that good stuff. Attendance really doesn't matter so much in an online class, but make sure stuff is turned in by the due date. You're not really going to be beating up on my equipment or each other, so those don't really apply. Academic honesty does still apply. Make sure that your tests are your work and your work only. Your homework, just don't copy off someone. If you work together, if you a little bit harder in the online class, but if you work together, that's perfectly fine with me, as long as your work is yours and your own only at the end of the day. Honors credit, I do offer this class with honors credit. Disabilities, if you have that form, you know what it means. I probably know what it means. Make sure you get it to me as soon as possible and we'll make it work for you. Let's take a quick look at the schedule, and I will make the confession that the schedule is loaded a little bit heavy towards the front than towards the end of the class, and that's not really intentional. I'm not trying to scare you away or anything like that. That's just kind of the way that my labs kind of boiled down. So the very first date is January 10th. That's a Thursday. Make sure you watch Chapter 1. Chapter 19 homework is due at 11:59 on that day, and these 3 labs are due. Again, submit them by Tuesday and make sure and try to get some feedback on them. A week later, make sure you watched these chapters right here. That quiz is due, that homework's due, and these labs are due. The test is a little bit of a breather, and what's due that week is just the test and the test only. So I know we're going a little bit faster on these 2 weeks, but it's a little bit slower on this week. These 2 weeks are probably the fastest that we're going to go. I do make up for that by going a little bit slower down here. These chapters are slower, this is faster. That's just kind of the way that my labs boil down, and I do apologize for that. These are 2 chapters. They're slightly longer chapters, so I'll warn you that ahead of time, and these labs are due on January 31st at 11:59, and so on and so forth. Again, each test is a little bit of a breather there. We have some spring break in the middle there, and I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Bear in mind, test 4 is due during the finals week, but it is only chapters 30 through 33. It's not a cumulative final. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a quick look in the course documents. Here I have some sample tests and solutions and some lectures and notes. Let's just go in here real quick. You can kind of see here's my Chapter 19 lecture handout. I gave them to you in the online version. I gave them to you in the face-to-face version. And you can kind of see the slides that I'm going to talk to. And here I have the lecture. I've tried to break it into 2 parts that are maybe 10 minutes-ish each. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit shorter. That's just the way the chapters kind of broke down. And this is just like watching me give the lecture in person. Please do take notes as you do these guys right here. And you can kind of see I have chapters 19, 20, and 21 up right now, and I need to publish 22 and 23. I'm making these as we progress through the semester, so you can work ahead up to a point up until you catch up with me, but I will always try to stay a step or 2 ahead of you. Also in course documents section, I'm going to move this over, but we have some sample tests and some solutions, and this is just like the real test. It is a paper-based, but you can kind of see it's going to be multiple choice, and every time you see a question on energy and waves, then you're going to see something similar in the real test on energy and waves. I do also have my solutions to these guys, and I've tried to explain what's going on. Since you're taking it multiple choice, then you don't need to explain what's going on, but bear in mind there's no partial credit. And so here I've tried to show my work for this one, here I've tried to show my work for this one, and so on and so forth. So that's all the course documents. Let's look in assignments, and here we have homework assignments due on the date listed. So this one's due January 10th at 11:59 p.m. You click on this and it says it allows multiple attempts. It allows 2, and it'll take the higher of the 2, and you click on that guy and it'll tell you which ones you got right or wrong, as you saw in Physics 101. For the online labs, here we have a lab. You click on this and it'll pop open the lab, and most of them say go to this simulation right here, so you click on that and it'll pop open the simulation, and then you just fill this out as best as you can. And if you need a good PDF editor, I highly recommend PDF Escape. And what you can kind of do, I'll just kind of type that in for you right here. So PDF ESCAP. Just Google that, and that is an excellent PDF editor. It is free, everything like that. Put in your questions, and you fill this guy out just like you did one of the regular labs. I do have an introduction to it on YouTube, so if you click on this, then it'll pop open this guy, and this is just kind of me saying, hey, this is how you do the lab, and this is kind of what I expect you to see. If there are any calculations, then I give you an example or so on how to do them, so you can kind of see I'm giving an example on how to do a calculation right here. So please do watch this thing before the lab. They are no more than 5 minutes or so, and that kind of gives you a feeling for what you should be doing with the lab. This one is due January 10th at 11:59 p.m. So if you click on this one, then what you can do is you can go ahead and submit something. So I'm just going to submit a blank lab right here, and blah blah blah. If you have any comments, just hit the submit button, and then I can go back and I can grade that. I can mark it up, and you'll see some. There's my submission right there. You can see I just submitted a blank lab. Please don't do that. But I can mark it up, and you'll see some feedback over here. I can't really grade my own lab, so I can't really show you that. Also in the assignments, you see the quizzes, pretty straightforward. It says 15 minutes, and here's quiz number 1, and the other ones will pop open as we get further along in the semester. Pretty self-explanatory. You only have 1 attempt on the quizzes. And the tests due 11:59 on the date listed. There's the time limit, and you only have 1 attempt, so there's test 1, and there's when it's due. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. Please do, if you've taken me in the face-to-face format, please swing by my office and utilize me just like you would in the face-to-face. I'll gladly set aside as many hours as I want. If you want to do the labs over in my lab just like you did in the face-to-face class, you're welcome to do so. If you want to just talk through the slides, we can talk through the slides. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you, and you have a good day.